Welcome, trendsetters. We're Alicia and Nicole from Positive Image. As salon owners, hairstylists, and business coaches, we're here to help you navigate the ever-changing landscape of the beauty industry and discover the secrets to creating a thriving salon business. So grab your favorite beverage, cozy up in your salon chair, and let's dive into the world of hair, style, and entrepreneurship together.
So today we are looking into the changing times. Like it's almost the new year, and we are really wanting to kind of touch base and dive deep into like how the salon is changing and what are we doing moving into, I can't believe it's 2025. Like we're past the Back to the Future time date. And thankfully, Biff is not running the country, although we won't talk politics. But it's I think just blowing everybody's minds of how quickly time is speeding up. And so what do we need to do as salon owners, like to really be able to look forward, feel like we're still a modern salon using the new tools and technology, and how do we adapt with the staff that we have, and how do we need to plan for this?
I want to give a thought to that just before we get into more stuff. And I think COVID really made us think about this a lot, is that either we adapt or we end up closing. And I think it's hard because when we're in a hard spot and we're struggling, it's hard to imagine change and adapting. At the same time, I think the entrepreneurial mind that most of us salon owners have, if we got into it because we actually enjoyed the idea of the business, I think most of us are pretty excited about finding new ideas and seeing how other people are doing things and adapting the way that we are doing things so that we're not stuck in the past. And I think exactly like what you're saying, like time is going by so fast now, especially because technology changes so fast that even though we're not a technology world, we have a lot of technology around us. And our brains and the way that we act as humans when it comes to our purchasing and stuff like that, that's changing just as fast. And so I think it's important to think about, to stay ahead and to keep growing, we do need to adapt, and also realizing that the world itself is constantly changing at a much more rapid pace than 100 years ago.
Yeah, it's crazy. And when you're talking about with COVID changing and having salons sadly shut down or businesses shut down, what I remember that I kind of kept in my heart was that this was for their own good. That when businesses shut down during COVID and even post COVID and now, that it was a good thing for these people because it maybe saved themselves from themselves. Like it was that forced shutdown, so they didn't go deeper into hole. So I always try and put a positive spin on as many things as possible. So if you are in that position where you're at the make or break, or you are sadly considering shutting down, really try and look at like what's the positive in that, and what opportunities potentially can present themselves from starting a new chapter. So it's always shutting down and stuff like that is hard because it does hit our ego, but sometimes it is for the best, and totally not what we wanted to talk about today. But that if we're talking about trying to adapt to the changing times, then even just the mindset of like, what about this is good for me? What about this is for my growth? And how can I change this crappy situation into something more positive? That is all about adapting. And maybe there's something even more incredible out there for you. So my challenge of trying to always put a positive spin on a shitty situation.
I love it. Queen of positivity. That's what we're going to call you from now on. Long overdue.
Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't annoy too many people, but yeah.
No. I don't know. Maybe I'm just different, but I don't think so.
Okay, good. Well, that's why we're friends, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So what was one of the biggest things that you found coming out of COVID? Like, and I don't want to kind of go on about COVID, but the changing of the times, because that really was in our industry, that really was like, we can pinpoint that that was one of the huge times that things changed, that we went from like pre-COVID to post-COVID. And that seems to be a lot of our conversations is pre-COVID, post-COVID. And post-COVID does have this like, things in the salons have changed. Like it's not what they used to be. So what would you say have been the biggest changes or that you've noticed?
I think probably the biggest change is the change of mindset when it comes to working, right? People want a bit more flexibility. They're leaning more to what I need, what I want versus like what the business needs and wants. And it doesn't mean people are being disrespectful. I think people are just being a bit more mindful of like, oh, actually, like working 40 hours a week is way too much. And I want to be home for this or that, whether it's kids or family or just to go out more or just have more like downtime. I mean, lots of us are introverts and just can't handle the amount of human interactions and small talk that we have to have as being hairstylists. So I think that's a big thing that I've noticed. Nicole?
Right. Probably the same thing. I think the idea of like allowing themselves to go on more holidays and vacations as well has been a bigger thing. I know traveling is my love language, and I'm not sure whether it's um, the atmosphere that I had created in the salon where my team also loves to travel. So I've had to check myself with, you know, boss Nicole versus travel Nicole when I'm getting all of these requests from my team. You really do have to do an internal check of like, this is what I want. Like, I want my team to travel. I want my team to be able to go and have fun and let loose. Where this whole, oh, you only get 2 weeks vacation, I've been able to throw that out the window. And I've been able to do that because of the way that I structured their vacation pay. So I'm not tracking anymore of how much time they've had off. So within my salon, the vacation pay gets built into every single paycheck. So if somebody's not in the salon and not working, they don't get paid. So if they want to take a month off and go travel around Asia for a month, do it. Have fun. And that's something that I feel that we've been able to adapt to is just giving them that time. They're not scared to ask time off. And the only time, and I tell them this too, the only time I'd say no is if like 3 other people have that exact same time booked off. Like, or it's Christmas. But even then, like, if you need to go see your family, it's important. Go see your family. So I've had to change my mindset around that. And if I want to travel and I want my staff to support me in my travel, I need to do the same and I need to replicate that. So I've been able to look at myself and who I am as an owner and what I'm putting out there, what I'm giving them as well. Like, is what I'm saying the same as what I'm doing? And I think
Yeah.
that's something that's really important because we don't want to be hypocrites.
Yeah. I mean, no faster way to create resentment. Yeah. I think that's great. We're probably pretty similar, I'd say. I've always been a traveler. I feel like hairdressers in general are travelers. We're just curious people. So yeah, same for us. Vacation pay on their pay stubs because it just is easier to manage to figure out. And in same, I don't think I ever say no unless of course there's like not going to be anyone left to work that day. Then I'm kind of like, well, I think you need to pick a different day. You're a little late for the game here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's hard, right? Because you want to think of having less people in that day does affect the business's bottom line. At the same time, I feel like if you eventually get to the point where you just don't where you have seats to fill, you would just hire another person that wants to work part-time or eventually full-time if that's the amount of vacation that your team is taking, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think even in that regard too, like having more or being more open to having flexible schedules. Like, so I think, Alicia, your salon has predominantly more part-time workers than full-time workers. I'm the opposite, but I know I'm putting it out to my team. Like, if they want to go down to a 32-week schedule, then do that. Like, if they want to work less, yes, I would hate to see the bottom line go down. But if they can do the same amount of work in shorter amount of time being in salon, then that's just going to benefit absolutely everybody. And potentially you could even have another chair become available because now you could have like two part-time people working as opposed to one full-time who's just dragging their feet when they don't have clients.
Yeah, 100%. Just it makes your team happy. It makes your bottom line happy. Everybody wins.
So a question for you is, do you have the entire team in the salon at one time? Like, is there a day or a time that everybody's there?
There isn't. But that's more just because of their schedule.
So then with meetings, when you schedule, so you don't have a full team meeting with everybody?
Yes and no. One of our stylists is back one day a week, and she's the full-time everything for her little one. So during the week, if I have meetings, she can't come. If I put them in the evening, she would be able to make it to the meeting. But there are days during the week where I have everyone who's generally here all the time, where everyone can be here, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That stylist is also only in the salon one day a week and has been here for a long time. So in general, she knows what's happening.
And I guess if it's really important, you could always get her to call in too.
Yeah. If I had like a critical meeting, then I'd either have her call in or I'd like have a private conversation with her separately. Okay. And then if we do team things, I try to organize it where everyone can be there. I try to find a time where everyone can make it.
Right. And then I'm sure people are, if you wanting to know this question, with this, if you have people coming in when they're not scheduled to work, do you pay them to come in for the meetings?
Yeah.
Okay.
And therefore, if I'm planning it on a day like that, I schedule the meeting for a minimum of 3 hours, because 3 hours is the minimum that you must pay people when you ask them to come in.
Yep. Perfect.
So yes. And even with that, like I think that's a good gray area to get into. So everyone is an employee. However, my stylists that are on commission are full commission. So it's not like yours where it's hourly plus commission. So for those meetings, they would then get paid their hourly rate, what their base is for that time.
Yep. And I think that's an important part for owners and stylists, if stylists are listening to this, that even if you're on full commission, you still need to make a minimum wage for the amount of hours that you are in salon. So if you are in salon for 40 hours in a week and you don't make 40-hour times your minimum wage for that week, your pay needs to be the minimum wage.
Yeah.
So If you want to know more, Alicia is probably your expert when it comes to that. And I know a little bit, but my pay structure is different. But that it is an important thing to know that even if you're full-time commission, you still need to make a living wage.
Yeah.
And that is really important.
If you're not, then you're not an employee and you should have full autonomy over your schedule.
Yeah.
That is ESA law. Anyways, we're getting into a whole nother podcast, as we do.
As we do.
So we've talked a bit about like life balance changes and schedule flexibilities, vacation, thinking more about what the individual stylist wants for their balance of life. Let's jump to cell phones. Cell phones have been a big change. Social media has been a big change. What do you do in your salon?
So, because we don't have scheduled breaks in the salon, and it's like I pay my team for the time that they're there, my thing is like, you can use your phone. Because we changed to a new system last year that you can see everything on your phone. There's an app, you can check people in, you can write your formulas down. It is very common to see people with the phones in the salon. I do not want to see people sitting at their station, sitting in the front on their phones. One of my pet peeves, and it's always been a pet peeve, was walking by a business. The business is dead. You look in, and the person at the desk is head down in their phone. It just, to me, or even like I've walked by somebody trying to work the door at a restaurant, and their heads are in the phone, and it just gives us such an unprofessional feeling. So if you're on your phone, and we're going to be on our phone in the back room, I don't want to see it. I don't want to do it. Noise level down. I don't want to hear what you're on. And I think we kind of had a discussion before this. So similarly, like I would prefer to be social media, like doing your own social media, but I get things come up. But if it becomes a problem, then that's when a conversation happens. Thankfully, I haven't had too many of those conversations, but how about yourself?
Yeah, I was definitely a very strict before. I was just like, no phones in your pockets, no phones at your stations. Like they live on the back lunch table. You can bring them out to take photos. Photos are encouraged, videos, whatever it is. If that's what you're doing, then cool and great. But I realized that I had to adapt a bit and be a bit more flexible because they are using them in their consultation to look at photos. Even though we have iPads, they're still also using their phones for that. They're using their phones to take before videos and photos and after ones at the chair. They're using them for timers. They're using them to check formulas. They're using them to book more appointments, or if they need to change their appointment type. So maybe they were going to do a cut, but they've added on treatment. They want to add it on there before they forget, because we have very forgetful minds, and especially once we get chatting, that way it's added on. So I have adapted. I do same thing. Like I don't want you sitting at your station texting. I don't want you just sitting around. I'm prepared for when a client comes in or may say hi to you. So keeping it in the back. And same thing. Yes, I do want you to be posting if you are on it, but I do understand that that's just not the world we really live in. And often it's always like, why don't you bring a book to read? That why don't you go work on a mannequin instead of just sitting back here on your phone, because everything's clean and you still have another 2 hours before your client comes in. Things like that. Yeah.
Well, and with this schedule flexibility, or why don't you book time off for that 2 hours and go for a walk?
100% go for a walk. Yeah. Get some fresh air.
Exactly. Leave the salon. So I think having those discussions with the employee and or with your boss if you are an employee, and just making sure that everybody's on the same page, because like as soon as you don't say anything, things can be built up bigger. You can build up resentment, and there is an easy solution to that, which is just having a conversation.
Yeah.
And really making it clear what the rules and the regulations are within the salon. And I know, like, having a salon for over 16 years, those have changed. Like, the rules and regulations have changed from when we first started to where we are now. And the most important information that I've been able to kind of see changes is, or not change, is have that conversation and be transparent with what your expectations are within a salon, because your staff aren't mind readers. They don't know. You could be having a bad day because your partner said something wrong in the morning, and your staff will think it's them or that they've done something wrong. So if you can't have that conversation with your team about, like, sorry, I'm just having a bad day, it's not you, it's me, then how are you going to have a conversation about having a cell phone or cell phone use, or even some of the harder conversations that we have to have within the team? So,
Yeah. 100%.
yeah.
I've started doing as like a fun little activity, personality test.
And
um, I think it's just like a helpful, like, this is why someone um is a certain way, and like it's a better understanding. But it also helps like how to communicate to people effectively, because certain people hear things in different ways, right? And certain personality types need direct things. Certain personality types need like a more quiet, slow sit down, or certain personality types are they going to be the ones that are going to get the team excited about something. So, you'd go to that person to get them excited so they can get everyone else excited, because that helps your job be easier, right? So there's like little things like that that are fun to see. And then I don't know, maybe that even matters, like whose station you put beside people. Like what
that's,
chairs you put, like separating the kids in the classroom, like those people are
yeah.
just definitely going to chat the whole time. So we're going to put them beside the two quiet kids. And
I've never thought about rearranging my salon or classroom, like giving people different stations for different. Now, do your stations change daily, or are
no,
people, no?
they may once upon a time, they may eventually. Uh, Ideally, I feel like I've talked about it here and there. Ideally, there's some systems that it suggests having shifts, so a morning shift and then a night shift, um, six, 7 hours or so, and then be open every single day of the week. So then there'd be you would be able to have your own spot for most of the time, but that doesn't mean that there wouldn't be somebody else in that spot in the morning or in the evening, in that same chair. You would just have a different trolley for you.
Yeah.
But currently, no. But yeah. And we wanted to talk quickly about places going gratuity free, or quoting your prices, like a session price with your tax and everything already in there as one flat rate. Um, I know there's been more than just my salon that's changed to some of these things. So I think it'll continue to happen. I think it'll also settle out. I think there's some people that have tried it and didn't like it, or there's people that have tried it and they did like it. And I think we're always it's kind of that adapting thing. We're always kind of playing around with what works for us and what works for our clientele. And I think at the end of the day, you really have to think about your client base and who you want to attract.
Right.
And that may be the factor of whether all of these different things that we need to adapt to, whether it makes sense for us. It's not, I feel like this is the preface legal part. At any time when someone else does something different than your salon, in your business, you have to question what are the values of your business as well as the demographic that you're attracting and that you want to be attracting, and do those things align? Because just because Nicole does one thing and I do the other thing, like one of our way isn't more right than the other. It's just what's right for our business. And all of that is okay to exist. So keeping those things in mind, like there's so much information out there. There's so many people with podcasts and masterclass right now, and it's amazing. But question yourself, does this make sense for you? And is that something that feels like you're really aligned with? And even if you get the feeling of like, oh, I hate that, I don't like that at all, that's okay. It's totally okay, because it doesn't have to match your business.
And I think to your point there, even just going into like making sure that you're clear on what your brand is and you're clear on what your ethos is. Because if you are trying out this, that, and the other, and you are getting scrambled to what your vision is, go back to your foundation. Like, really, why are you in business, and what do you believe, and what do you want the salon? Like, when somebody thinks of XYZ salon, what comes to mind? What's the visual? And so from there, and from that starting point, that's when you should kind of look at what do you want, whether you are a tax and tip included in your quote price, or you're quoting the base price and then it's all of its add-ons. Does that align with why you started this business? And if you want to change it into a yes where it was a no, then great, but go back again and restructure and reform your ethos, because I think that is something that can keep everything kind of seamless and true to who you are and what your brand is.
Love that.
Yeah.
Did you want to talk about your other point? I wanted to save that to the end. No. Okay.
And I was going to change it to the metrics, because I think that's a good metrics one. So
I think that makes sense
that.
too.
I did that in the Google Sheet too.
Okay. Amazing. We'll see you next time.
Well, just put in one quick point. So at the end of the day, like, you're going to have your salon is going to grow and it is going to adapt to the changing times. But I think, like, just be open to possibility, continue to be curious about yourself, your business, and who you surround things with. And if something really doesn't feel true to you and your business, don't do it. Because just because the neighbor salons are doing it doesn't mean that you have to do it. So just really try and be true to yourself at the end of the day. And if you have more questions, we are here for you happily. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today. Take this knowledge and just keep developing yourself. And hey, we want to hear from you too. Join the conversation by using our hashtag #PositiveImagePodcast. Share your thoughts, questions, and success stories. Who knows? We might just feature you on an upcoming episode. But don't keep us a secret. Tag your friends too. And want to keep learning? Check out our show notes. Find us on Instagram at hello.positiveimage, and be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss an episode filled with inspiration and insights.